really, Joseph, I thank you very much for inviting me to speak, because I think you are into something important and very valuable, and I would like to contribute to it with my experience of 50 years working with over 70 countries. I will divide my short presentation, I hope, so that we can devote time to questions and answers and discussion. First, why I believe in the confederation. Second part will be why and what are the barriers for making it work. And number three is how yes to make it work, to overcome the barriers. So first of all, why we need it, what are the barriers to implement it, what do we need to do to overcome the barriers. That is my presentation. So let's start first with why do I believe in confederation. So far I've accumulated 8 possible solutions to the problem. And there are no more. I'm looking for people to give me the number 9. I cannot find number 9. And I talked to many, many, many people, leaders of the country and common people. What are the 8 alternatives? Look at them. Some of them are ridiculous, but we should look at all of them. Solution number 1 is the Palestinians move away. That, by the way, what Gvir and Smotrich want. That's not going to happen. They're talking about millions of Palestinians. Second solution is we move away. That's not going to happen after the Holocaust. We are not going to move away. Solution number 3, they all die, which is some trying to do. That's not going to work. That we all die is not going to work either. So far, 4 solutions are not going to work. What is the 5th solution? 1 state. That's not going to work because the Israelis will never agree to lose the Jewish state, which was a dream of 2,000 years. What is solution number 6? God will solve it. Trust God. Well, he did not solve it during the Holocaust, so I would not rely on it now. What's left? 2 only alternatives left. There is no more. Look at the reality. That's what we need to do. Look at the reality. There is a problem, and there are only 2 solutions left. One is 2 states, and the other one is to continue as is. Do nothing. Which of the 2 solutions is better? To continue as is a disaster, because we know from the theory of change that things do not stay in one place. They either get worse or better. And the rule is, unless you make it better, it gets worse. Your own house, your own car, whatever you have, you don't maintain it, it gets worse. And the situation in Israel is getting worse. October 7 is just another manifestation how bad it's getting. And it's going to get even worse if we don't make it better. Period. So the only alternative left, like it or not like it, there is no other solution. When I talk to Israelis, they say it's not a good solution. They give me all the reason why not. They say you're absolutely right. It's a very bad solution to 2 states. But we have a better one. Now, why I believe the 2 states is not good enough and we need a confederation instead? Because the 2 states, as it is proposed now by France and Canada, etc., God forbid they do it, just 2 states. Hamas will get to power in no time. The hatred is still there. The fanatic wish of making Muslim religion dominate the world is still there. And it's going to be terrible. Oh, there are going to be international guarantees and warrants. It's not good. I don't trust it. Look what happened in Bosnia during the war there. United Nations forces were standing, doing nothing, while the people in Srebrenica were being slaughtered. I don't believe in international guarantees because they take care of their own interests. God forbid if we have to rely on their interests for our survival. So what is the solution? Confederation. But here are the barriers to the solution. Jewish people are traumatized people. 2,000 years of persecution, death, gas, you name it, expelled from country to country, having no home. Then the Holocaust. What happens to traumatized people? They live in fear. And what happens to people that live in fear? They use power to solve problems because they're in fear. And that is how Israel is behaving. Believing the solution is through power. Beat them up until they can admit that there is Israel and they have to accept us. In the history of mankind, nobody has succeeded to beat a nation. You can beat them for a while, but then they rise up with the first opportunity they have. That is why the Americans left Afghanistan with a tail between their legs. That's why they left Iraq. That's why they left Iran. Not Iran, Vietnam. You cannot beat a nation. That is why Stalin did not go into Yugoslavia in 1948, when Yugoslavia separated from the Soviet Union orbit. He went to Hungary, he went to Czechoslovakia, but he did not go into Yugoslavia. Why? Because the Serb nation has a tradition of 500 years of fighting from the mountains, the Ottoman Empire. And you cannot fight people. You can fight a government, you can fight an army, but not people, because everyone there is a potential terrorist. Makes a Molotov cocktail bottle and throws it into a restaurant. You cannot catch them all. Impossible. So what's going to happen to states? No, we already said it's not going to work. Confederation. We need a confederation, but there is a problem with confederation. What is the problem? The Jews are traumatized people. They don't trust. They don't trust. They don't trust the Palestinians. They don't trust a solution. What is the danger in a confederation? As such, it might become Yugoslavia rather than Switzerland. Look at Yugoslavia. By the way, I was consulting to Milosevic, trying to avoid the war and the split, the breakdown of the Yugoslav Federation. And I told him, I know you came to power because of Kosovo. Kosovo belongs to us. Kosovo is Serbian. That's what got you to power. But if you continue fighting, you will lose all the power. I told him, what are you going to do with 2 million Albanians in Kosovo? Let's go down and kill them all. You cannot. Let's push them out. You cannot push them out. To where are you going to push them? Etc., etc. Same thing here. We fear. And if we fear, we are not going to accept the two states in any form. So what might happen? Might happen in Yugoslavia. And Yugoslavia fell apart. There is no Yugoslavia. And when I was consulting to Milosevic, I was wondering, why is Yugoslavia falling apart? Switzerland is not falling apart. Switzerland should fall apart. French, German, Italians together. They've been fighting every world war. How come they're together in Switzerland? And there is a difference. There is culture of mutual trust and respect in Switzerland that did not exist in Yugoslavia. And when there is no mutual trust and respect, marriages fall apart, partnerships fall apart, countries fall apart. And in the Middle East, there is no mutual trust and respect. Because we are traumatized, plus it's part of our culture, Jewish culture, to always put down the other party. We are the only nation in the world, I think, that I don't know at which celebration we go around with plastic, hit each other on the head. Manifest what culture do we have? Put downs, cultures of put down. We don't have mutual trust and respect. They don't either. Shias, Sunnis, each other's throat all the time. Tribal society. How in that culture you're going to create a confederation? It's going to be Yugoslavia, Joseph. It's going to fall apart sooner or later because there is no mutual trust and respect. So what do we need to do to make the confederation realistic? We need to change that culture. God help us. It's not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. But we don't have a choice. I repeat, we don't have a choice. We are not going to live, they are not going to live, they are not going to die, we are not going to die. We don't have a choice. We need to develop that culture or we are going to all die. I want to tell you, this say we are all going to die, I'm not joking. My fear, as it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, Israel is not going to disappear. 8 billion people don't disappear. But it's going to get so bad, it's going to be unlivable. Like in Algeria, the Algerians kicked out the French. See the movie Algeria. It's going to be unlivable. And people are going to leave Israel. The young people are going to leave Israel. And then we have also the Haredim don't want to serve. So the people that are going to be protecting Israel are going to diminish in size and in motivation to continue because you cannot continue this war. But we are not going to disappear. So what happens when it becomes really, really desperate? I'm not afraid of the Masada syndrome, that we are going to go to the mountain and commit suicide. That's not what happened. Somebody wrote a book about it. I'm afraid of the Samson syndrome. He was tortured and tortured and tortured. And in the meantime, his hair grew up and became powerful. And what did he do? Tamut nafshi mapishtin. We might do that. We have been tortured for 2,000 years. Holocaust. Enough is enough. October 7, enough is enough. And it continues, and it continues, and it continues, and it continues. I believe at a certain point, somebody is going to push the button, and we are going to use the moon. We almost did it in October in the Yom Kippur War. Moshe Dayan recommended to Golda to use the bomb. He says, we are desperate, we need to use the bomb. She had the balls not to do it. Wow. But if Bibi Netanyahu was in power at that time, I can assure you they will use it. And if that happens, and it's not improbable, God help us. What the domino effect can be. 5.2 billion Muslims in the world. The expected war is not between nations anymore. It's going to be between the Muslim religion and the Christian Judeo-Christian. That is what's happening. That war is waiting to happen, and we are going to trigger it. So we need to change the culture. And here is how I would recommend to do that. Yes, confederation, but with common institutions, not only the presidency, and not only the Senate, or whatever. No. That's a legal solution, guys. We need to do something sociological, cultural, and we need to institutionalize it. Not only to talk about it, it has to be institutionalized. What is it? I will have a common police to do what? To control Hamas on one hand and the Messianic Jews on the other hand. Those that are against the solution. They're going to undermine the confederation in any way they can. So we need a police, internal security to control both parties. Number two, common Ministry of Education. Why? To start working on mutual tolerance. To start working on building mutual trust and respect. How? In Israel, part of the confederation, we must learn Arabic. Spoken Arabic. You cannot graduate high school without knowledge of Hebrew, Arabic, and English. Period. Number two, we study the Muslim philosophy. And we study the history of the Arab world. And they learn Hebrew, the history of the Jewish people, and the Jewish Machshavat Israel philosophy. What am I talking about? Start developing mutual trust and respect. And like in Singapore, forbid any expressions of intolerance. In Singapore, if you write an article and say XYZ, comma, Chinese, you can be sued. Don't mention even who is who. We are all one. No intolerance allowed on both sides. And then number three, Ministry of Economy, to encourage mutual enterprise, to develop what? Common interest from which might emerge mutual trust. Is it good enough? I'm afraid not. Because we have a problem in Israel. By separating, Zionism separated religion from nation. Before that, being Jewish was a nation and a religion. Now you can be Jewish nation without the Jewish religion. And I have several clients of mine in Israel, quite educated professors even, tell me I'm not Jewish, I'm Israeli. I'm Hebrew. I don't care for the religion anymore. Now, if there is peace and confederation, all those that don't have religion as a background will get assimilated in no time. Echad Am talked about Hitbolelut. We are very good at that. And then what's going to happen? What is all this Jewish country, home for the Jewish people? The whole thing becomes wuha, buha, buha. So in addition to all of it, I will introduce back Jewish studies in schools. Today, the grandchildren of my sister go to democratic school. They don't know Tanakh. They don't know anything about the Jewish religion. Nada. Look at all the Israelis that are outside of Israel. 1 million of them in Los Angeles. No connection to the Jewish community. On Yom Kippur, that's what they make mangal, and have a barbecue. No connection to the Jewish community. Zero. So what's going to happen to all of this, to the Judaism now? There is a lot of work that we have to do to change the culture with the confederation. It cannot be done without it. So we can do it, but the confederation has to do something more than just establish legal structure, because it will be Yugoslavia. We need to create Switzerland. And to create Switzerland, we have to create a culture of mutual trust and respect without losing our identity. And that's what I'm worried about. We will lose our identity if we don't do more than just looking for peace. I will separate state from religion, definitely. But have Jewish education. What do we need to do first? Because without that, confederation will not happen. Here is what we need to do first. We need to solve the problem. That's what we want to do, right? We want to solve the problem. That is what we are talking here. That's what we are here for. Who should solve the problem? Usually people say who suffers the most. No. Not even who caused the problem. No. Whose problem is it? Who can solve it? Who can solve it? Regardless who caused it. Who can solve it? That is whose problem it is. Because this is the only one who can solve it. Who can solve it? The Palestinian problem. The Arab nations don't want to. They have shown it in many ways. The Egyptians don't let them even cross the border and gave up Gaza. The Jordanians killed them on the terrible Friday or whatever it was. Sabra Shatila in Lebanon. They cannot solve it. They don't want to solve it. The world, the Western, cannot solve it either. What are you going to do with millions of Palestinians? Where are you going to take them? What are you going to do? The Palestinians themselves cannot solve the problem. The only one who can solve the problem is Israel, and we are not taking responsibility. I talk with Israel, say it's not our problem. They in 48 left and they ran away and they did this. And then the Arab nations did not expect the Jews, and because of that, now we have to do exchange of people. Guys, the only one who can solve it is us. And we have to do something. So there's no solution. There's going to be no confederation. There's going to be nothing until first the Jewish population in Israel says, we have a problem, we have to solve it. And confederation is the solution. But we have to accept that it's our responsibility. First we have to accept there is a problem, not ignore it. Today, everything is going around. They're not addressing it, like the problem does not exist. First of all, there is a problem. Look at it. Don't blink. Then, we are the only one who can solve it. We have to take the thing, Larim takfafa, as they say in Hebrew. We have to do it. And what is the solution? The only solution is confederation. But it will be Yugoslavia. It will fall apart. What we need to do, establish institutions, then encourage mutual trust and respect. And at the same time, bring and strengthen the Jewish identity so we don't get lost in the Middle East. Thank you very much.